Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Unleashed. I am your co-host, Regan Hildebrand. You can find me on social media at Realtor Regan.
And I am Bridget Quinn. You can find me on social media, B Quinn Realtor. Howdy doodies.
Welcome to, let's see, what are we in? Episode 3 now of the new year? Well, third episode of the new year.
Yes.
Not episode 3.
No.
Season 2. Yeah. So we're still getting the little kinks worked out in the new studio set up here.
Sure.
Third time's the charm, right?
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
We had a little mishap last week on behind the scenes stuff.
So this is what happens when you try to release an episode on Friday the 13th.
It's true. True story.
All hell breaks loose. But we're back at it.
Yeah, we'll try again.
Yeah, so today we want to talk a little bit on how to work the kinks out of your real estate agent search. Yeah.
Just hire us and you'll have no
Just
problems.
reach out to us. That's the short version.
That's the short version. But
yeah, and we'll take care of it or get you hooked up with the right person in another state. But no, we have a few little things that we think are going to be useful to anybody, whether you're on the buy or sell side.
Yep.
And you just need to know how
kind
to
of the basics, the two do's, two no's.
2 do's and 2 no's. I like that. Yeah. Of what to kind of go after when you're in that initial search of working with a real estate agent, and then most importantly, why do you need to? And there's plenty of horror stories in the background on things that can go wrong. But I think the thing that probably gets most people, first of all, is like, where do you even begin the search, right? Like if you're going to look for an agent,
right?
And then do I really need one? The 2 big questions.
Yes. And yes.
Yeah. But why though? Yeah. I would think that most people, if they're just getting started in the home search or the sale process, are maybe thinking, do I need to get an agent involved? If you're on the buy side, is it just a matter of somebody opening doors? If you're on the sell side, can I just put a sign in my own yard?
You could. But how successful are you going to be?
Yeah. And I think it's easy if you're watching to think, well, they're biased. Obviously, they want the business. But I think it really comes down to more than that. Yes, we do want your business. But it comes down to a little bit more of that, and having seen what happens when agents aren't involved on one side or the other, right? The big why to have an agent involved is most of the time going to be wrapped around experience, which could also tie back into the how to find the right one. So,
well,
yeah.
I mean, there's certainly good ones out there that, may have never done a deal, or it's, as I told you before, like I've worked with some that literally were 6 months in and that was their first deal, but they did their best and they, were very transparent. And even though they hadn't completed that deal yet, they were really good to work with because all the fundamentals were there.
Yeah. And I think that's a key thing to call out is you can't really say an agent is going to be good because they have 10 years of experience listed on their LinkedIn profile. It comes
with their
down,
80s, excuse me, with their 80s profile picture,
the glamour shots.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we get to update our headshots here soon, thanks
Yes.
to the wonderful Ashley Neal at Neal Studios Photography. Shout out.
You'll probably be sick of seeing us.
yeah, maybe so. But headshot and LinkedIn bio aren't really the key pieces that are going to tell you whether or not an agent.
Somebody can look good on paper,
Yeah.
but not necessarily follow through with that in the real world experience, I guess,
Yeah, that's the piece. Like I would never say an agent can be disqualified for tenure or anything of that nature. It comes down to what questions to ask the agent to know if they know what they're doing and if they're a good fit for not just you, but for the thing that you're trying to accomplish. So if you're looking to create an investment portfolio, are you finding an agent that is going to kind of specialize in that, have the ins and the outs? If you're buying a house In a rural area, do you have an agent that understands
Farmland,
farm
USDA, or
septics, wells,
mm-hmm,
the ins and outs, the need for maybe a survey?
mm-hmm,
If you're buying in an urban area,
mm-hmm.
do you have an agent that understands condos?
Super
Um,
popular.
yeah, the walkability of an area, like what goes into, like, if you need to be close to public transport,
Mm-hmm.
is your house going to be close to that for you? And so many other little things that can be variables. And we don't pretend to be the experts in all those different fields.
You can't be experts in all those things. I mean, honestly, because if you're a jack of all trades, what do you do really well?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's good to know about things, but it's you still need to specialize in a few areas or that's why if I'm not super familiar with an area, I'd rather refer it out to someone who I can trust, take care of that. I mean, I've done some stuff for you because I was more familiar with that area than you and just whatnot. So,
Right. And that's a good call out too, is knowing when to say, here's someone that's
know
a
when to
better.
hold them, know when to fold them.
Right. And I've had that same experience too with other deals that were maybe around farmland.
Yeah.
And that's just not, even though I grew up on a dairy farm, the buying and selling of farmland is not like, that's not going to
No
fall in my
pun, it's a different
wheelhouse.
beast.
Yeah. No pun intended, but different beast when you're dealing with those kind of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about finding the person that fits in the right niche.
I would say, as you say, ask the right questions. Ask, what is particular to your scenario. And, are they just personality wise, do they gel?
Yeah, yeah. Do you click with them? And
Mm-hmm.
it's that same way on a lot of different fronts. When you're making a transaction of this size, do you fit right with not only your real estate agent, your loan officer,
Yep.
those kind of pieces? But yeah, when it comes to just like basic questions, if I were on the other end of things and I were going to be sitting down with real estate agents and interviewing multiple ones of them, I think the first question that I would ask is, what is your style?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you approach the real estate transaction, whether it be the buyer or the sell side? Like, what's your style? And then follow up with a question of, like, what do you as an agent look for when evaluating homes?
Mm-hmm.
Again, on the buy and the sell side. And also ask what their availability looks like. And having an agent that isn't available on weekends or may have a second job or something that interferes with that, if the only time you're available as the buyer is to look at houses on the weekends, might trip you up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So some other basic questions would be just like, what areas can you cover as an agent?
Yep.
If it's on the listing side, how are you going to market my house? What are you going to do to get top dollar and sell it at a reasonable time frame?
Right.
Um, you know,
And
I
that's where we do the work, the things like the comparative analysis and, how the market is trending and what we've seen. So,
Yep, exactly. We try to stay ahead of it, with just keeping the finger on the pulse of things. And I think the other piece that buyers or sellers need to understand is, like, you can't be fooled by what might look like a shiny little object, and in some cases that might be name recognition. Nothing against the big brokerages out there, but a lot of times it's easy to lean on that big name, and it might be a top three brokerage nationwide or something of that nature. And yeah, that might give the agent some advantages in some ways. For the most part, though, that name brand behind
it doesn't automatically. I mean, we were with different companies before that had a bigger name than what we have now.
yeah,
I mean, that never necessarily got me listings or leads just strictly from the name on the sign. Do you know what I mean?
right.
Like if I have deals, it's because of me. It's because of people who know me or, get to know me and understand me as a person, as an agent, and what I can do and what I can offer versus the name that I'm associated with.
Yeah, and the other piece too is that the playing field's been so leveled in the past, 5-10 years with the internet changing things. It's no longer does a big name brand or a big brand brokerage
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah. No, thank you. No longer does a big brand brokerage give you access to something that others can't.
Right.
It's all a level playing field.
Potato of what we have and what we don't have.
Correct. Again, for the agent, it might be a better fit on their end for different reasons, and that's fine. But for the consumer, that would probably be at the bottom of the list.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in myself, I've seen over the past couple years, the amount of small, what we call the boutique firms, has really grown tremendously. Mm-hmm. And some of the boutique firms close by have grown in number and have gotten larger than what we are, obviously. But it's what you make of it.
Correct. Exactly. If an agent isn't using the right tools, it doesn't matter what the name is. And there's so many tools that it's like a Swiss Army knife. You have to know what to use at the right time. And otherwise, it's just going to maybe be a little, chaotic, things of that nature. But yeah, those questions to ask, and really you should be asking questions. And I think that would be the main thing is when picking an agent, don't just blindly say, well, this is the first person who returned a phone call.
Especially if you don't know that person. I'm fortunate enough that a lot of my friends and family or close sphere have hired me, but when it comes to someone that you truly don't know, it's a little bit different ball game.
Yeah, and I think in this current age of everything kind of is very internet centric, and especially if you're home shopping for the first time and you don't know an agent, a lot of people do stumble upon agents via clicking a link on Zillow or realtor.com, and that connects you with an agent. And I think everyone needs to understand too that when it's connected with those agents, those lead generation sites, which is all they really are, like Zillow, realtor.com, they do some vetting, but really those agents aren't there because they're top 5%. They're there because they paid money to be there. Other sites that kind of fool people are homelight.com.
Yeah.
Homelight, I know, does a lot of marketing that says we are the ones that only get certain top percentage of agents, or use us and do this or that. Well, in reality, they're just a lead generation site,
right?
Which is it's a pay to play. There is some vetting again, but that's not the top criteria. Top criteria is who's willing to sign up and make this agreement with the site for usually a share of the monies, right? It's a money thing. So people just have to look at it from kind of a keen eye on it and say, what's really going on here,
right,
as far as why this agent is in front of me and what questions do I need to ask to make sure we're a good fit.
Right.
But beyond that, it's a matter of why you should when and why you should call an agent, right?
Right. Lots of reasons why.
Yeah. Scenarios come up a lot of times that kind of maybe put the cart before the horse.
Yes.
You and I were talking off camera about new construction. Meaning new construction, when we say that too, we mean like planned communities that have a model home usually, and they've got some homes that are currently in construction, different phases.
Right.
And a big sign.
And it may be completely finished and ready to go. Nobody's lived there yet and you can pick it, or literally from the ground up, you get to pick everything and build it. I will say from personal experience multiple times, you need to have an agent because the builders there are not going to look after your personal needs. And as someone had found out recently, from a community, the contract is not by any means standard, extremely long.
Yeah,
and they make it so that you don't understand what you're trying to sign, and they're just like, oh, here, just go here, just go here.
It's just a click thing.
Click. They don't want to take the time to explain what that contract is, just you're signing.
Which again, our standard North Carolina contract is around 17 pages, and what are you seeing like in new construction contract?
I'm not going to give an exact amount, because it's crazy. It was over 200 pages. That's
Yeah.
the worst one I've seen. Typically, other communities, other builders, I've seen probably an average of 80, 85-ish pages.
Significantly more nuanced,
Oh
complicated.
gosh, yes. Builders can do their own stuff, and
And then the biggest thing beyond just the contract is when you walk into a sales center, you are just a customer.
they're not looking out for your needs. They just want to, okay, here's the price and how much can we take you for?
Yeah, it's just like walking into a car, onto a car lot.
It's not to say that the builders aren't nice or their salespeople aren't nice or, knowledgeable about what they do, but let's be honest, you need somebody looking out for your needs.
Yeah, because the whole process, new construction, and I think we've mentioned it before, does not equate to perfect. Never in that process from start when you're talking about the perfect price. It's not it everything's negotiable,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that gets people confused. They see this house that's been built, it says new construction on it, it's being sold out of a sales center, they have a price tag on it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not like the car sales lot where maybe they don't tell you the price up front. No, they tell you the price up front, but that is not the price you have to pay.
Mm-mm.
Now, in the previous market, which was much more aggressive towards those type of things, and there's waiting lists, you might have to pay that price or more.
Sure.
But as we shift,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a firm price. So
No, and plus they never tell you all the prices of the options that you order, the different
yeah,
fixtures, the different tiers, the different elevations. Everything always comes with a price. Some things are very, to me, affordable. So like there was new construction. Again, I'm not going to name names, but for the value to say like crown molding for the house, it was super affordable. Versus someone like my husband Tony coming in and doing crown molding himself, it was about the same price. So in that instance, certain things it's easier just to go ahead and have the builder do it.
yeah.
And that's what we can help advise on. And if you take us through the process to kind of help pick and choose what's reasonable purchase, especially if you're trying to,
I've
watch your piggy bank.
I've seen line items for $2,500 for a garage door opener,
Oh yeah.
and I don't think people always understand that just because you see something in a model home, that's not what you're getting with the house that you pick. And when you're talking about things like a garage door opener being optional, but the builder's going to charge you $2,500 for one, then that's where again you can get blindsided. And I
Yep.
think that's the big thing is being blindsided by not realizing because you walk in. Again, it's out of ignorance, not out of malice or anything, but those agents in the sales centers are there to do their job
Mm-hmm.
for the builder or whatever company is managing that whole sales, well, new construction community.
Right.
And then the other piece too is that once you've done signed the 200 plus page contract, now what is the next step? The builder is managing maybe dozens, if not hundreds of sites there. Are they going to be available to answer your questions on financing, inspections, timelines? Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe, maybe not. Or they're just going to give you like the general update of rough timeline. Okay, it's so many months out. But
Yeah,
like you said, are they going to offer, a pre drywall inspection? Are they going to tell you kind of where we're at or what's next?
yeah.
I don't know.
It gets to be a lot of ifs that with an agent. And the other key thing that people need to understand is when you're dealing with new construction, you are not going to save money by not having your own agent. Unless that is like a custom build thing and it's not a subdivision and you're talking about one off with land and you're
Right.
hiring your own custom builder, there's different scenarios there. But for most people with a planned community,
Mm-hmm.
if you go in with an agent, the price is the same
Mm-hmm.
as if you go in without an agent. There are no discounts to say, hey, what if I agree not to use an agent? Most of these builders are under or agreements that they don't, they're marketing their properties on MLS or Zillow and things of this nature. They're going to have money already set aside to compensate the agent. So we're free resources
Yep.
to the consumer who will not save a dime by not using
Right.
a buyer's agent in that transaction. So you don't win like a little extra bonus by not bringing an agent with you.
Not at all. And that's the frustrating part, I guess.
Well, I think the other big frustrating part is finding out when it's too late that you now can't have an agent.
Yep.
And you had a scenario like that where basically the builder
I've had
said,
several scenarios like that, other little communities.
yeah, so the normal agreement is walk in with an agent day one or don't have an agent at all.
Never
Right?
visit a new community alone.
Yeah.
Even if an agent can't be with you, at least let us set up the appointment to let them know that you have an agent, that there is somebody looking out for you from the get-go.
It's a first point of contact thing. If the rep inside of the sales center model home meets with you as the buyer first, then in most cases,
See you
it's
later,
sayonara.
alligator.
Yeah, you're
They don't
not.
care.
They're not going to recognize that you have a buyer's agent later. Even if you say, "Well, I'm working with somebody," most of the time they need that person to be there right by your side from the day one. Otherwise, they consider it, "Oh, this person's unrepresented,"
Right.
and that's a way for them to. I wouldn't call it predatory, but
And I
it's
wouldn't say take advantage either, but it's sort of
it's they simplify the process. They say, either bring your agent when you walk in, and even if you're just out on Saturday or Sunday looking at houses, it's dangerous to walk in. If you happen to be driving by a beautiful community and want to check it out, and you think there's any chance
whatsoever.
at all
Whatsoever,
that
yeah.
you're ever going to buy in this community in the next 3 to 5 years, yeah, pick up the phone, call, and find an agent. Even if we're not available or in your area, we can find you somebody that is. Excuse me. I get choked up when I talk about new construction.
I would say that was kind of the big one for me. That's came up multiple times throughout the real estate career.
It does seem to repeat over and over again where,
And I think it's, as you say, it's kind of ignorance is bliss. Is like, my client had said, she had told the rep, I didn't know I could have an agent for new construction.
yeah. Well, you
So,
don't know
I
what you
mean,
don't know.
No, you don't know what you don't know, but that's why we're here. We're hopefully trying to educate you and, help with the process and
Yeah.
give you information.
Put the horse in front of the cart instead of the other way around. But that whole process of choosing, again, it's important because you have to start out correctly. Otherwise, you get tripped up. Like new construction is a great example. But we can do things that the general public can't do.
Right.
And the biggest one is brokerage in general.
Right.
In North Carolina, and I know most states, you have to have a real estate license to broker properties, which means to negotiate between parties. But beyond just that, the amount of resources that we have available to us, for most people,
Yep.
not to say that the general public can't in many ways get there, but we're a straight line to a lot of information on the property history, the comparative analysis of properties.
Yep.
So when we look at pricing for either a buy or sell side, we have data that we can pull up to.
Even down to the forms,
Oh, yeah.
it's forms that's for realtors.
Yep. We have custom forms for pretty much anything at this stage. Whether it's the contract itself,
Yep.
Disclosures,
Yep.
amendments and addendums, addenda.
Addenda.
Get my Latin correct. We have access to things that are meant to not just simplify the process, but make sure it's done correctly.
That's the big part.
It is. And we're held to standards, not only at state level through the licensing boards in all 50 states, but we're also held to a standard by our association with the National Association of Realtors.
Code of ethics.
Code of
is
Ethics.
a big one,
Yeah.
which I know we've talked about before.
Talked about it, but I think it bears repeating that it's not just something that we can flash like a little pocket card to say, this is this is what we're going to follow.
Right.
It really does have teeth to it, and we see time and time again that our industry does a good job of self-regulating with that code of ethics by holding each other accountable. Nothing gets called out faster than when one agent catches another agent doing the wrong thing.
All the stories that we can tell.
Yeah, and the
I mean,
internet.
nothing personally, but like
Well,
what we've read.
Well, sometimes we've personally been on that. I've had to call out other agents, and
Sure.
it's not a fun process. When you have to call the real estate commission or your association and say we have an issue,
Houston, we have a problem.
a big problem, and that's the other thing that we do to safeguard our clients.
Yeah.
Is, and I may have told the story in past episodes, but the biggest one was earlier in my real estate career when I had a client that was out money from an inspection cost. They got their deposit on the other side back, but the inspection cost, all because an agent willfully misrepresented and hid material defects. And having, of course, again, the consumer can go through all those steps themselves to rectify things, but it was easy for us as agents to spot the problem and to get action on it,
Right.
and to make it right for the client. Which, if they didn't have representation on this side, they would have been taken advantage of.
Oh, sure.
So we're here to protect our clients. We have a fiduciary duty, which means we have to protect their financial best interests, the ethics of it all. Just
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's the ethics of it is it's a dog eat dog kind of business out there when people are buying and selling real estate.
Right.
Big transactions, and there's a lot of people from the big iBuyers and that's the other thing on the sell side. I think that's important to remember is just because there's an advertisement or a flyer that comes in the mail that says you can sell your house for cash at top dollar, the best price, there's now actually lawsuits going on that contest that fact, class action lawsuits against some of these big iBuyers that were promising to help you make the most money without
They have
involving.
so many hidden fees and so many things behind the scenes.
It's incredible. It's
It
incredible.
almost seems like scam.
Exactly. And so many other things are going on where people are being taken advantage of, that having an agent that's beholden to a set of code of ethics, state regulations is important when a lot of things cross state lines now.
Right.
There's currently a lawsuit going on in the state of Florida that actually does involve a little bit of North Carolina, where there is a real estate company that was offering people basically a loan, and it was only in the low four figures. They were given cash money to say, you agree whenever you want to sell your house to list it with our company. And it was a 40-year agreement.
That's right.
A 40-year agreement, a listing agreement that lasted for 40 years. And the only thing that the consumer got out of it was maybe $1,500 cash up front. Kind of like a title loan on your house. And it was a title loan insofar as that there was a lien put on their property.
Oh, it's awful.
So if the home was sold through anybody else in the next 40 years, a lien had to be paid off at closing to that other real estate agent. So the property was basically, the title was tied up with this one firm.
Lots of issues.
And it's not for us to say, because the courts are now going to handle it, whether or not that was actually fraud and violated laws and all this.
Let's just say so many red flags.
So many red flags. And even though, the case is still tied up in the courts and probably will be for God knows
40
how
years.
long. Yeah. What's probably going to be the most immediate fallout is a change to the rules and regulations in a lot of these states.
Yeah.
To where that's not allowed now. Even before the case is settled, my prediction is that states will craft laws that say no more X number of years of these agreements that become a lien.
And that's why every year our forms are updated.
Yep.
They're looked at. We have mandatory continued education with the general update or electives and whatnot, and all of this sort of information is presented to us so that as a community, realtors and agents can be better.
Yep.
So, I mean,
And it's all about that continuous improvement, which we said before that we're all about as well. But I think the most important takeaway is you need to have the right questions in your back pocket to ask, and you need to have an agent.
well, yeah, the agents are, I mean, again, not to toot our own horn, but we have a plethora, a
Yeah,
plethora, a plethora, sorry, three amigos, of resources like vendors who we can go to, who to use, who to contact. I mean, so many things in our back pocket. Just going Joe Schmo won't get you there.
right, exactly. So, I would say for most people, it's better to reach out to an agent than not reach out at all. But why not get the best up front if you
Sure.
can? And to keep in mind, you know, magazine covers, billboards, faces on those don't necessarily equate to, the best fit for you as the client, as
Maybe
the
we should
seller
slap
buyer.
a billboard picture of ourselves.
We got plenty now, and we got nice logos. So yeah, we can. Yeah, we could. No,
Watch out,
no,
Concord.
maybe so. Um, only one of those really bright LED
Oh, yes.
billboards though that lights up the sky. Nothing but the best.
It's like the bat signal.
Yeah, exactly.
I need an agent. I need an agent.
And that's okay. So I think the other piece that everybody watching should know is the way to send a bat signal if you're watching is just leave a comment, reach out in the DMs,
Yes.
follow us,
You've hit that
the
subscribe button.
but just to reach out and find the right fit. And you and I both are really good at if somebody tells us this is what I need, looking for, etc., to kind of place you with the right person. If you're not in state with us, we have a network that we're very proud of.
Yep.
Of other agents.
For
And if
sure.
you're an agent that's watching us and you feel like we're a good fit, reach out to us as well to kind of see if we can network together across all 50 states. I think
50.
we also have some viewers out of the country as well.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we try to put people where they need to be. So that's the big takeaway is just
It's a good one today, I mean, it's part of the process, and you have to do it, to buy or to sell. So why not work with people like us, if not us?
yeah. So reach out, leave a comment, reach out into our DMs, or you can find me at Realtor Regan on all social media.
And you can find me on all social media, B Quinn Realtor.
Yep. And again, we thank you for tuning in. If you have further questions, if we can dive in a little bit more, leave us a comment, send us a message as well in that regard,
Yep.
and we're happy to break it down for you guys.
Break it down.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks guys for tuning in, and
We'll catch you next time.
bye guys.